evening, everyone. This is our last 24-25 budget presentation before the budget adoption on April 16th. Today we will be presenting the remaining part of the expenditures budget. Mr. Iorio will present the athletics budget, and Mr. Chamberlain and Mr. Chow will present the non-instructional budget, which represents approximately 40% of the total budget. After the expenditure budget is presented, Mr. Chow will present the revenue budget, tax cap, estimated tax rates, and contingency budget. The entire expenditure and revenue budgets have been posted on the website, along with all the budget presentations. The budget, similar to all work that is done in the district, is rooted in the mission of the district in Pleasantville. Our mission is to empower all students to be lifelong learners, dynamic thinkers, and compassionate contributing citizens. Our mission outlines the 4 characteristics of the learning community, including rich, differentiated academic programs, a safe, supportive environment of respect and collaboration, allow students to explore individual passions and celebrate accomplishments, and lastly, provides for opportunities in leadership and service. Also guiding our work are the 6 strategies in the strategic plan. They include leadership, curriculum, wellness, communication, infrastructure and resources, and partnerships. As a reminder, our 24-25 proposed budget is just over $61 million. It is a 3.39% increase from last year's budget. For the portion of that budget that we collect in taxes from our community members, the tax levy change is an increase of 2.74%, which you can see falls just under the allowable tax cap of 2.75%. This, I think, is probably one of the most important slides that I've gone over several times in the different budget presentations, and it bears repeating. This is not a stagnant or status quo budget. This is a budget that has been crafted with a lot of thought to meet the evolving and changing needs of the world and the needs of our students as they change as well. The budget allows us to maintain our current class sizes and programs. It also allows us to provide for a safe and supportive learning environment and includes all of the necessary personnel to do all of those things. As I said, this is a balanced budget that comes within the tax cap. In terms of budget expenditures, there's a couple of notes that I just wanted to make sure that not the first time that you've seen this slide. A couple of big changes in here. Of note is not a substantial increase in salaries. You recall we have 9 retirees that we have breakage on their salaries. A big increase of over $1 million in employee benefits, in large part due to our increases that we have to support in order for our employees to have health insurance. And then the other changes that you see in here have been discussed in our previous conversations, including a substantial increase of over $500,000 on our BOCES line to accommodate for, again, some of those changing needs that our students have shown that may need additional placements out of district. So again, overall, this is a 3.39% increase in our budget from year to year in terms of our expenditures. I will now invite up our athletic director, Mr. Iorio.
Adding a lead off tonight, I like it. Doesn't happen all the time. Just want to thank everyone for the opportunity to present our budget, as always. I'd like to start off with this slide in particular, and you've heard me say this before on many different occasions. Pleasantville is very unique, and we're unique in the sense that for a school our size, we offer pretty much the majority of our sports at every level, meaning the middle school, which is modified, junior varsity, and varsity levels. And when we get more into those, the data and the details to support that, But again, that makes us very unique because of the opportunities that we have, the ability to offer our youngsters. I'll give you a minute just to kind of take a look in case you have questions on those particular sports, but really this is all of our sports at every level for every season that we have. In total, we have 18 programs. Pretty much that's the makeup of your varsity teams, or your varsity programs, I should say. A program is your sport, and that would entail your modified junior varsity and varsity levels for each particular sport. At the high school level, we have 33 teams. We have 4 merged teams and 14 middle school teams. The one difference that you may recognize here from past years is under the high school level teams and the merged teams. We have always been part of a merger through Westchester County for girls ice hockey. This is the first year we had somebody participate. It's a 12-team merger. The costs are not significant because of the combination of all those schools, but that is the increase in the mergers from 3 to 4 and the high school teams from 32 to 33. We have 49 coaches at the high school level, 18 at the middle school level, and pretty consistent with our volunteers. We're at 5 currently. And this is what excites me, this slide here. If you take a look at the percentages for each season, starting off with the high school, we remain very consistent with previous years. So those percentages, may have gone up or down by 1 or 2%. But consistency in that area for me is good because our programs are pretty much at capacity. So specifically, when you look at our rosters, our makeup is not of, 11 or 12 athletes. It is significantly
Big
more
numbers.
than that.
Yeah.
So consistency in that area is a good thing. What stands out the most here, and if you had the opportunity to refer to last year's budget presentation, is at the middle school level in the fall. We've had a significant increase. I think, I don't know what it was, but it's approximately a 15% increase during the fall season. Why is that? There are 3 particular sports that contribute to that. One is volleyball. We've gone up significantly in numbers. The other one is field hockey. And the other one would be cross country at the middle school level. I would like to pay some credit to our youth organizations, but also our coaching staff. They have partnered. They've done a lot more in those particular sports, and the result is an increase in those numbers for sports in the past that really did not have the same participation level that we have currently at this moment.
And field hockey and volleyball are girl sports, so that means you're getting a nice increase in,
Yeah, so I think it was a total of around 30-something athletes during the fall, and I would say
That's
just
great.
about all that came from those 3 sports, with a few stragglers in a couple other areas. During the other seasons, again, we remain consistent at the middle school level. And one thing I would like to, refer to when we talk about our all the sports that we're offering, the amount of coaches that we have. It is part of our philosophy, and you've probably heard us say this before in the past, is to make athletics as inclusive as possible. And that being said, we also like to provide the appropriate training for our coaches to be able to offer the most positive opportunity for our athletes and focus more on the transformational piece and the purpose-based aspect rather than the winning and the losing, especially when we have numbers like this. Now getting into the more specifics in regard to the budget lines, you can see an increase in our supplies budget. It's $2,500, but to me, $2,500 is a pretty big increase based on the previous number that we had. Within that line, we purchased new uniforms, balls for all of our sports, training items, trainer supplies, and also certain items that we might need for our technology platforms, Team Builder, Huddle, and Local Live. Most of that would come out of that line. The next is equipment. We do have the ability to kind of work together with these two lines. Equipment would be more of your larger ticket items, but there are times where we would exceed that, so we have the ability to pull from our supplies line if we need to do that. Next is repairs and reconditioning. That's an easy one. We do have a large football program, as a lot of you are aware, and the cost of reconditioning and repairs for protective equipment and uniforms is pretty significant. That line, for the most part, is assigned to that sport, and that's why it's there. And if there were a need for repairs for other situations, we could access that, although there would not be a lot remaining. Other contractual, that is specific to our merged sports. You'll see an increase there as well. And that is a good thing because we have a lot more athletes now participating from Pleasantville in our merged sports. And in combination with that, we have the increase also in fees for rentals, for swimming, ice hockey. So that is the reason for that increase. Professional services. I just want to thank Pro Clinics for that partnership, and we've remained steady in that line for several years now. We appreciate all that they do for us. It's a great partnership, and hopefully we can continue to work with them at that number as well. Transportation. You will see an increase in our transportation line for a few reasons. One, of course, is the cost of the trips have gone up. Fuel has gone up, as you know. Also, we plan for our teams to play in the postseason. And we weren't necessarily doing that in the past. So we had to find money in other areas to be able to cover those costs. But now hopefully we won't be able to do that, and hopefully we'll spend it all.
Yeah. It seems like we've been on a little bit of a roll.
Our fingers crossed. And then BOCES. BOCES is, is one that's pretty direct. The increase that you're going to see there is mainly because of the increase in officials' fees. The Officials Associations renegotiated this current year. So there will be an increase in the fees that we have to pay them for the upcoming school year. But as far as what we contribute for scheduling and for our fees that we pay for our varsity programs, those have remained consistent with last year, which we had increased from the previous year. Just wanted to touch on some of our capital improvements, and a lot of this you have seen, you've experienced. The new branding and upgrades in our high school gym, hallway, fitness center, new high school basketball hoops, new storage shed by the track area. I do want to thank our Dad's Club organization. They helped contribute to that, to majority of that. We did need a larger space for our cross country and track and field equipment. And then Dad's Club did want a place to store some of their equipment similar to what the ASO soccer program does. So it made sense for us to work together and purchase a new shed, which is a lot nicer than the other one that we had as well. We did purchase a new softball fence that is here. The plan was to install it this week. Let's hope that we get it up at some point and the weather cooperates towards the end of the week. New championship banner system. So you'll notice the gym is a little blank. We did purchase all new banners that will go up. We're working it in combination with the new bleachers that are going to go in the gym, so we can try to do it all at the same time. Additional batting cage at Parkway Field. It's partially done. The plan was to finish that this week as well. We're hoping to do that if the weather cooperates. That was also done in collaboration with the Dad's Club as well. The plans for the upcoming summer are to upgrade the fitness center hallway, add some spirit similar to what we've done to the main entrance hallway outside of the gymnasium, where you can see in that picture. New high school gym bleacher system. We're looking forward to that. This was part of our internal safety audit that we did last year, where we decided to implement new hoops and rims, and now we will get the bleachers. They'll be ADA compliant, so we're excited about that. We're going to replace the high school gym door hardware, again, part of our internal safety audit. Thank you, Mr. Chamberlain and everyone else who contributed to that, Mr. Chow, Dr. Desai. And new portable press box. So we encumbered the funds for one press box, and we're hoping to get two, but we do have the funds to be able to purchase a press box.
That's great. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you so much.
You're not busy at all, are you?
What about more trophy cases? How much are we allocating for new trophy cases?
Well, we are trying to figure out what locations they're going to go in, because we have run out of space. So we'll try to solidify those funds at some point as well. So, thank you.
Thank you very much.
So now we will begin the non-instructional budget. And so these are the topics. And usually, operations and maintenance is part of the general support. But since general operation and maintenance is such an important topic, so we'll let Mr. Chamberlain start the presentation.
So I'm batting third tonight, Mr. Iorio. We all know what that means, right? Good evening. I'm happy to be here tonight to present my 24-25 operation and maintenance budget. And we'll start with the overall expenses. I just want to touch on a few items here. The bigger changes, as you can see, we're able to reduce our utilities costs, our budget number anyway, because our costs have actually gone down a little bit from the huge increases that we saw in 2022, if you remember.
Yeah, it was big last year.
We were down about 15% this year.
Our
Our usage has remained flat, and if anything, we're actually a little bit lower than we've been, but the cost for supply since 2021 has really risen quite a bit. And then a number that I raised a little bit is the repair and maintenance number. And most of the repair and maintenance I'm seeing right now is at the older HVAC equipment at Bedford Road School. And if you can imagine, it's hard to imagine that Bedford Road School is getting old, but it's 21 years old, and a lot of the equipment over there is in need of maintenance or repair. So we're seeing those costs raise a little bit. We put some extra money in there because that's very important equipment, and we want to maintain it to maintain good interior air quality. And thank you, Dr. Desai, for adding pictures to my presentation.
That's the actual truck?
No,
That is the truck we will be purchasing, but
it's not April Fool's, but I thought I'd mess with Steve. I looked up a Ford truck and there was like a
ours will say Pleasantville
2025
on the door.
shiny, beautiful truck. You can put that on there.
So in my equipment line, I do have a new pickup scheduled, not that one, and then some additional operations and maintenance equipment. And our professional services line includes cleaning services at the middle school and Bedford Road School, refuse and recycling collection, and our pest control services.
I'm disappointed that there's not a rodent in this picture.
I'm gonna mess with him in every slide.
And utilities, natural gas, fuel oil, electricity, water, sewer, and telephone. So just to get back to what I was saying earlier about utility costs. So from 2021 to 2022, in electricity, we saw the rates go up 60%. They came down, as I mentioned, about 15% this past year. And our natural gas rates actually went up 90% in that year and have come down about 50%. But we're still way above the numbers we were at in 2021, 40% for electricity and 70% higher on natural gas supply. So those are tough numbers to absorb. It's a list of our maintenance contracts. I'll put it up there. I don't need to run through it. It's pretty much the same every year. And then the supplies. It's all custodial and maintenance supplies required for the proper operation and maintenance of 7 buildings, 350,000 square feet of indoor space, and 30 acres of ground. And 7 buildings, a lot of people don't know what the 7 buildings are. So it's our 3 school buildings. There are 2 modular classroom buildings behind the high school. We have an Armco building behind the high school, which is our maintenance building. And we also maintain the Parkway Fieldhouse. And just some upcoming capital projects for the 23-24 budget and also the 24-25 budget. And I'll just want to highlight a few of them that we're going to be doing this summer. Mr. Iorio mentioned a few of them. And these are all safety related. And it would be the gym bleacher replacement at the high school gym. The new bleachers obviously will be ADA compliant. The ones we currently have that are very old are not. We're also going to be installing transaction-style windows in the 3 greeter vestibules. It's basically going to be a bank teller window, 3 feet by 3 feet with a pass-through underneath it.
Instead of it being a slide, it's going to
Doesn't
be...
slide. It's fixed, totally
Wow.
fixed. Yep. Going to be replacing the hardware for the high school gym doors and also looking to replace the hardware for the BRS classroom doors. And I just want to speak briefly about our ongoing middle school HVAC project. It is my 2023-2024 goal. It's been going on since June of 2023. We had major work done over last summer. The work has continued through the school year, after hours, and over the school breaks. And if you remember, we added in conjunction with this roof, HVAC project, we did a partial restoration on the roof up there. We had 4 sections of older roof that were 21 years old and coming out of warranty. So the thought was, being that we're putting all this HVAC equipment up on the roof, we might as well get those sections of roof redone. That work was done, 99% of that work was done last week over the school break. We were going to finish it on Monday, but the weather didn't let us. We're hoping to finish it this Friday. The project is on time and on budget, and we hope to be completed. We're projecting that it will be completed for the start of school next September.
Thank you.
That's fantastic.
That's great.
Thank you so much.
How long does the roof repairs, my recollection was it extended the warranty?
Say that again, Mark, I'm sorry.
The roof restoration, it extended the warranty on those 4 sections?
We have another 25-year warranty. Thanks for bringing
That's
that
great.
up. Yep.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, before I start talking about the budget, I really want to thank Steve, Mr. Chamberlain, because, he is the clerk of the work for the middle school HVACs, and it's really going very smoothly, and he actually forego his vacation last week to supervise the construction, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you so much.
So I can't believe that we're at the end of the budget presentations. And this is always the exciting time because we really have, all the administrators have the opportunity to talk about their programs, their projects. And so today, I would talk about the non-instructional budget, starting with general support and then transportation and then undistributed revenue, tax cap, estimated tax rates, and then contingency budget. So this is the general support. First of all, I just want to mention that here you only see the large numbers. These are the by category. If you really want to see the details, they are on the line-by-line budget that's on the website. We have the budget for expenditures and we have the budget for revenues. But I'll just give an overview here. So first of all is the Board of Education. Our district clerk really was working very hard to see where we can cut, so you actually see a decreasing of $13,000. And then the chief school administrator's budget is for the office of the superintendent. And then the finance is the business office. You actually see a large increase. As you recall, this year we added a part-time clerk, and this is a district-wide position, but because it's district-wide and this person works in all the offices, we thought that we would just budget in a business office. And then we have staff. Staff has several categories in there. We have legal, we have HR, and we have public information. That's all under staff. And the special items, I'll just name them. We have our insurance, judgments and claims, sewer taxes, refund on real property taxes, this tax surcharge, and BOCES, admin, and capital. That's a very large piece for our budget. And of all the taxes, the school district actually has to pay the sewer taxes to the county. So now here's the transportation. Transportation, actually, there are three parts. On March 19th, you heard Dr. Bala talked about the transportation costs for the special education programs. And then also you heard Mr. Iorio earlier talk about the transportation costs for the sports program. And here is the transportation cost for our private schools and parochial school students going out of districts. And these are the costs. And then we have BOCES. BOCES, we actually have a person that does the routing for us, and that's the cost we pay to BOCES is under transportation. And these are all fundable. There's transportation aid from the state for transportation costs. And here's the employee benefits. This represents about 20% of our total budget. And you see a very large increase. And Dr. Desad mentioned earlier, is really mainly because of the health insurance increase. We see a very large increase. And then also TRS, ERS both have increases. And I'll talk about the ERS increase later because the ERS increase has exceeded the 2 percentage points and therefore is part of the calculation of the tax cap. So here's our debt service, and this is the first year we're going to be paying the full amount for the $2 million we borrowed for the middle school HVAC project. And overall, you see an increase of $74,000. And we have interfund transfer. So there are two parts to it. One is the special aid fund, and the other one is the capital project fund. Interfund transfer is always a very interesting topic because people are always confused. What does that mean? What does that? Where do you transfer to? Why is it interfund? Well, the reality is that when we do the budget and we are presenting a budget That's for the general fund. And general fund is the operation of our entire school district. And in there are two parts. That one is the special aid fund, one is capital projects fund that you can put in the general fund. And then as soon as the budget is approved on July 1, these funds will be transferred into another fund. And the special aid fund will be transferred into the special aid fund, and then the capital projects fund will be transferred into the capital projects. And so let me talk about the special aid fund. Special aid fund is for extended school year. This is for the summertime and for the students with IEP that they need to go to school during the summertime for 6 weeks. And the school districts are responsible for 20% of the cost. And the state is responsible for 80% of the cost. So this represents 20% of our cost for the 2024 summertime for our special education students. And when the budget is approved, these funds will be transferred into the special aid fund for that usage. And in the capital project fund, we have $455,000. This is exactly the same amount as the 23-24 budget. I think the board has heard that earlier I was talking about, we will, at least the facilities committee have heard that originally we were planning to use the 24-25 budget to fund the high school gym bleacher. And what we found out is that because we want to really be safe and be compliant, so we really want to have this project done this summer 2024. And we found out that we must place the order by March 31st in order for us to, this is a long lead item, in order for us to have this installed. So what we did was that we actually used the 23-24 budget and pay for that. So this $445,000 is all dedicated to the middle school and high school bathroom renovations that the board already approved. So here's the funding. And the project will be done during the summer of 2025. It's not going to be done this summer because we still have a lot of work to do. Our architect is doing the designing, and this still has to go through the SED approval. And in fact, not too long ago, a couple board meetings ago, the board actually approved the secret for these two projects. So here we have the, so here we just finished the entire expenditure budget presentation. So now we go to the revenue side. So revenue, I would just go over each line. The first one is real property taxes. For Westchester school districts, real property taxes represent the largest portion of the revenue, and is correct here. And the second part is the state resources. That's really the state aid, and I think you all know that we do not have a budget, and the state budget, and is past the April 1st deadline, and has been extended to Thursday, April 4th. And then we'll see whether or not the three parts can really come together and agree to a budget. And we expect to have an increase here of $613,000. This is not all foundation aid. We are getting more foundation aid, but we are getting more aid for category aid, the other things like special education, transportation, and capital projects. We file additional completions, and therefore we're getting more building aid. So that is the state aid portion. And then we have appropriation of fund balance. We're going to appropriate the same amount, $1,300,000. This is just so we'll help to reduce the tax levy and have a balanced budget. And then we have tax revenues. This tax revenue is not real property taxes. This is sales tax from the county. And we expect to have an increase of $30,000.
Not much.
And then we have charges for services. I just read out what was in this category. We have student fees and charges, and we have building usage fees, and we have tuitions. Tuition represents the largest piece. We have both general ed tuition and then also special education tuitions. And then miscellaneous revenues, I'll tell you what is in here, is refund for prior year expenditures, and the interest income, and arts and education, that's the BOCES program that we have in all 3 schools. And also we have borderline property taxes. So borderline property taxes are the borderline properties that are in two school districts. And if the students choose to come to Pleasantville, then we can bill the other school districts for the taxes that this household paid to the other school districts. And so overall, the revenue budget also increased 3.39%, just like the expenditure, because we have a balanced budget. And we have a number highlighted here is $1,101,757. And this number, we will talk about it later, because when we talk about contingency budget, this is the important number. Because if we have to go to contingency budget, one of the rules is that the tax levy cannot exceed the current year tax levy. So that's the amount that has to be shaved. So here's our tax cap. We have gone over this before. I just want to highlight some numbers. This is too far. The pointer doesn't work. But I just want to tell you the second line, you have a growth factor of 0.75%. That represents we have assessment growth of 0.75%. This is a plus because that helps with the tax cap. And then at the midpoint, you see a 2%. That is that's the CPI increase that we can use for the calculation on tax cap. And then at the lower number, you see a $3,950. That is because our ERS increased by 2.1 percentage point. It goes up from 13.2% to 15.3%. So the overage of 0.1% can be added back into the tax cap. And so at the bottom is our tax cap percentage increase is 2.75. And our tax levy increase is 2.74, and therefore we are under the tax cap. Mm-hmm. So we just need to have a 50% plus 1 voters to approve this budget. Now we go to the property tax report card. This is a required document, and this is a report that we have to report to the board the day after the budget is adopted. And then also, this has to be approved by the board on the day of the budget approval, budget adoption. So, sorry, I skipped the slide. I should have talked about the estimated tax rate first. So this is our estimated tax rate. The important word here is the estimated, because we won't have the final tax rate until sometime in July, because the assessors will start finalizing the assessable rate around June 15, but we probably won't get a number until early July. That's the time we'll be able to calculate the true tax rate. So right now this is estimated. And the important number is really under Mount Pleasant. On the bottom, is estimated increase is 1.61%. And the reason Newcastle is less important is because there's only one house in Newcastle. So for Mount Pleasant, the estimated tax rate based on the March number is 1.61%. So you probably want to know why the budget is going up 3.39%, and then the levy is going up 2.74%, and then the estimated tax rate is only going up 1.61. It is really because the taxable assessed value has gone up. And that really impacts this number. Because if we have capped the 23-24 assessment, the estimated tax rate would have gone up 2.85%. So assessed value going up is good. So anytime when you walk in town, in the village, you see new constructions or renovation, it helps. So now we go to the property tax report. So this is, again, this is the one that the board needs to approve at the budget adoption time. And there are 5 important information listed here. One is the budget, one is the tax cap, and then one is the enrollment and the CPI, and then estimated fund balance, which is on the bottom part here. And then we have a budget notice. This is also required, and this does not have to be approved by the board, but this must be sent to all the residents in the school district between 14 days prior to the budget vote and 7 days before the budget vote. So you have a window of 7 days to send this out. So this will be included in our newsletter. And in this document, there are several important numbers. One is the budget, one is the contingency budget, and then there's a 3-part budget that we must present, which calls for administrative budget, program budget, and capital budget. And then just want to mention one important factor is that our contingency budget actually meets the administrative limits. What that means is that you use the administrative budget divided by the sum of administrative budget plus program budget, and you get a number, is a percentage, and then you calculate the contingency budget, and that percentage cannot exceed your actual budget, and we meet that. So, you know, you have a test and you have to go through, and that's the important part. And so this is the budget notice. And then so now we'll talk about the contingency budget. So what is a contingency budget? Is when voters reject the proposed budget, then you know, at either the first round or the second round, then you go to the contingency budget. And as I mentioned before, the contingency budget may not include levy higher than the prior year levy, so that's the $1.1 million that you have to reduce in the tax levy. And then the information must be included in the budget notice, which we saw earlier. And then here is the amount that we have to reduce when we go to contingency budget. And there are 3 ways to get to a contingency budget. One is to reduce the expenditure, and the other one is increase revenues, and the third one is use more fund balance. Mm-hmm. So in reality, probably the easiest way to get to a contingency budget, because when I look at my colleagues, when they work on a contingency budget, they usually is on the expenditure side. You try to find the non-personnel part and the non-personnel part. Non-personnel part usually is all the equipment that you just delay by 1 year if you can. So the truck that you saw will probably and then increased revenues is not easy. But one place I can think of is, for example, we have building use fees. If we have to go to the contingency budget, so probably that's a number that we'll look at. And then obviously you can use more fund balance, but once you start using fund balance, it's very difficult to replenish. So the best part is really just don't go to the contingency budget. So this is I always like to show this because this is the diagram, show you how the contingency budget work. So first of all, we have a budget vote on May 21st. And if the budget is approved by voters, then you go to the far left and you have a budget. And if the budget is defeated, you see the red on the right-hand side, the top red, then is disapproved, then you can, at that time, the board can decide to go directly to the contingency budget. You don't have to go through the second vote. But if the board decides to go to this for the second vote, it's always on the third Tuesday in June. And this time is
June 18th.
June
18.
June 18th, yes. And then at that time, the board can decide whether or not you want to present the same budget, or you want to present a lower budget, or you can present a higher budget. You can really go to any budget you want, but obviously you want to have that approved. And then you go through the process again. You go through a vote on June 18th, and then if it's approved, then you have a budget. Otherwise, then you have to go to a contingency budget. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Kassan.
So we're nearing the end of the journey through the budget presentations. Usually at this point, I think about the themes that I've heard throughout the evening, and I think in tonight's presentations, we, similar to the other presentations, hear a lot about a focus on safety. When I started off, we talk about a safe and supportive environment. I talked about the evolution of the changing needs. We are forever looking at ways that we can continue to grow in our practice to keep our students and our staff safe. And I think a lot of what we've said tonight demonstrates that. One of the themes I heard a lot through the presentations and in the athletics presentation was also this, we always wear these Pleasantville Pride sweatshirts, and I think it means a lot to us and our community. That pride goes well beyond in terms of it being exemplified in our partnerships. There were so many examples of how we as a community have such pride in our students and our facilities and the experiences that we can provide them. As, village programs for athletics to school district types of experiences, the amount of participation that we have in the fall and the spring, and in the middle, it's really a lot that goes on with our play, but really has a lot to do with our community partnerships that we have. So it's just a lot to be proud of in terms of how we support our youth, and I think something that makes Pleasantville a wonderful place to live, and especially if you are raising children here. So we look forward to the next step in the process, which is our April 16th meeting, where the board will be asked to adopt the budget. And that will be followed by our next meeting on May 7th, where we have our public hearing on the budget. And finally, the big day of May 21st, we are planning with our parent organizations to have our big fun barbecue. Some staff are very excited and are arguing already over who is getting the biggest spatula to flip those burgers. So it's a good time.
Polling rank.
I don't know, John Chow's vicious back there. So we're taking our budget roadshow along to our parent groups. We have solidified dates and times to meet with our parent groups at the 3 buildings, and we had a very great meeting with our SEPTA group back on March 12th. And as always, no one has to wait for the budget hearing to provide us with any comments and feedback about the budget. The contact and communication information is there. There's also, I think I had mentioned in the beginning, and I know that John had mentioned it as well, on our webpage, in our departments, there's a business page, and on that, everything is well documented along the way. So if people miss a slide deck or they miss a video presentation, or they want to look more detail-oriented into a line-by-line, there's certainly a level of transparency and offering of the information. But if there are any questions or comments about that information, they can always reach out to us as well. So that is the conclusion of our athletics and non-instructional budget presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'd just like to add thank you to Mr. Iorio, Mr. Chamberlain, the business office, Donna, for everything you do. It is actually a lot more complicated than this. And we've learned it. We've had working sessions on this. We've spent time going through this. Don't pretend to understand it as well as John does.
Takes a while.
But there's a lot that goes into this. So we really appreciate the hard work.
Thank
Getting
you.
this done for our community, our kids.
Yeah.